Ready to get started. This is, I think maybe the fourth time we've done this workshop before job fair, and really looking forward to sharing some of this information. I see on our call we already have a couple people that were in the meeting this morning with the Manufacturers Pathway Consortium. So I'm glad you were able to join us on this workshop. So we've done a lot of work on emphasizing disabilities in the workplace and employment and getting that message out to employers. When I think of the disabilities, I sometimes we think of this as kind of a binary thing. But some people are born with a disability. You either have it or you don't. And I was reminded not too long ago, I took a trip up to Green Bay after never driving any further than the grocery store during a pandemic, and not used to sitting in a car. And then making a 3.5 hour drive up to Green Bay. By the time I got back, I literally could not walk. And it reminded me, it made me think that, sometimes we toggle in and out of a disability at any point in our lives. At that point, I had a disability in terms of walking, but I could still do my job. And that's something that we need to keep in mind. I think for employers, especially, that people with disabilities are still underemployed. They're underpaid, they're underpromoted, and a lot of times don't receive the accommodations that they need. So with that, we take a look at in the workplace. There are statistics that show only 10% of the people in a national survey report that they have a disability to their employer, which makes it difficult. And so hopefully this workshop will bring some more awareness to what we need to do as employers to combat ableism and provide opportunities for those that may have a disability. One more statistic. I like statistics. I don't really remember many of them, but another one that struck me was that if you're at the age of 20, you have a 1 in 4 chance of becoming disabled before you retire at 65. Just think of long COVID, for example, how many people, family members, friends, neighbors that may become disabled at some point. So with that, I want to share that this has been the job fair. The event has been a collaborative effort. Thank you, MCC, for providing your space at the Shaw Center again for our job fair. You're going to hear from some of our team in the presentation this morning. Natalie, if you could go to the next slide. So the goals of this workshop are to, at the end, that you'll be able to identify an example of expanding your workforce by the use of people with disabilities. There will be resources that we will talk about in hiring and training individuals. And then we want to talk at the end about developing a next step, your questions, answers, as far as, all right, I've got this information. Where do I go from here? Who do I contact next? So next slide. So the agenda will be a presentation from Nasrullah and Gianni on the benefits of employers in hiring workers with disabilities. We have the Illinois Department of Employment Security talk about tax credits and other benefits from IDS. Then workforce, we'll talk a little bit about training funds that would be available if you want to move in that direction. And then finally, the best, I think, is our testimonial and success story, putting a face to a story, a success, and how this all works and comes together. Next slide. So Nasrullah Khan and Gianni Serrano, you want to start us off with diverse abilities in the workplace?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Gianni, and I'll be presenting with my colleague Nasrullah, and we're from the Division of Rehabilitation Services. Next slide, please. So again, just to talk about our roles, I am a business services representative with the Planning and Business Development Unit.
And hi, everyone. I'm Nasrullah Khan. I'm a vocational rehabilitation counselor at the Elgin DRS office.
And with our role at DRS, the Division of Rehabilitation Services, which we acronym as DRS, we're the state's lead agency that serves individuals with disabilities. Specifically, we're looking for individuals with disabilities that are looking for employment opportunities and training opportunities. So as a business service consultant, what I do is I partner with employers throughout the state. We want to make sure that they have the workforce that they need to keep them competitive. We want to help them build a more disability inclusive workplace. And at the same time, we're matching their needs to the interests and abilities of our customers. So in all, we work together with the employers and the counselors to assist our customers with direct placements into positions that lead to what we like to stress as competitive and integrated employment.
And as rehabilitation counselors, we serve individuals with disabilities to become prepared to enter, retain, or regain suitable employment. The cornerstone of my position is to assist my clients take their rightful place within the community as productive citizens.
Next slide, please. So as we mentioned, we serve mainly individuals with disabilities. However, DRS uses a dual customer approach to not only serve persons with disabilities, but also employers. So with our individuals with disabilities, we assist them with things such as job placement, training opportunities, education, job coaching, assistive technology. Regarding our employers, which we will be discussing throughout this entire presentation, things such as opportunities to expand and diversify their workforce, the tax credits and incentives, assisting with getting return to work employees back to work, access to experts on accommodations and technology, as well as access to disability awareness training, such as something we're doing now. In all, we provide solutions for workforce needs of business customers while preparing talented and qualified job seekers with disabilities for their chosen career paths. Next slide, please. So why hire a person with a disability? And these are those stats that Tom was talking about that we love to talk about, right? So 1 in 5 people, approximately 64 million in the US, identify as having a disability. And so this is out of a total of 327 million. And out of that 64 million, 35% are of prime working age. And the working ages are between 16 and 64. However, according to the Office of Employment and Disability Policy, the labor force participation rate for people with disabilities is only 20.4%, whereas the participation rate for people without disabilities is 68.7%. So what does that mean? This is virtually an untapped labor market that employers can utilize to meet their workforce needs. Next slide, please. So with DRS, we always stress that not all disabilities are visual. A common assumption about persons with disabilities is that only a person who uses a wheelchair or someone with a significant intellectual disability is someone with a disability. However, that's not true. We've listed here some of the common, what we call hidden or invisible disabilities. Some of them include someone having a stroke, recovering from a stroke, diabetes, heart disease, asthma, allergies, cancer or cancer survivors, nervous system disorders, lung or respiratory problems, injuries that may have been sustained from accidents, recoveries from various addictions, mental illnesses, or even arthritis or musculoskeletal problems. Next slide, please.
All right, Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA. The ADA was signed into law on July 26, 1990. The ADA is a comprehensive civil rights law. It prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in employment, state and local government programs, public accommodations, commercial facilities, transportation, and telecommunications. In the context of the ADA, disability is a legal term rather than a medical one. Because of this, the ADA's definition of disability is different from how disability is defined under some other laws. The ADA defines a person with a disability as a person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. This includes people who have a record of such an impairment, even if they do not currently have a disability, but are regarded as having a disability. Next slide, please. Some assumptions versus facts. First one, assumption. Under the ADA, employers must give people with disabilities special privileges known as accommodations. The fact is, the reasonable accommodations are intended to ensure that qualified individuals with disabilities have rights in employment equal, not superior, to those of individuals without disabilities. A reasonable accommodation is a modification to a job, work environment, or the way work is performed that allows an individual with a disability to apply for a job, perform the essential functions of the job, and enjoy equal access to benefits available to other individuals in the workplace. Next assumption, providing accommodations to people with disabilities is expensive. The fact is, the majority of the workers with disabilities do not need accommodations to perform their jobs. And for those who do, the cost is usually minimal. According to the Job Accommodations Network, which is a service from the US Department of Labor's Office of Disability Employment Policy, 56% of accommodations cost absolutely nothing to make, while the rest typically cost only $500. Moreover, tax incentives are available to help employers cover the cost of accommodations, as well as modifications required to make their businesses accessible to persons with disabilities. Assumption. The ADA places a financial burden on small businesses that cannot afford to make accommodations for individuals with disabilities. Businesses with fewer than 15 employees are not covered by the employment provisions of the ADA. Moreover, a covered employer does not have to provide a reasonable accommodation that would cause an undue hardship. Undue hardship is defined as an action requiring significant difficulty or expense when considered in light of factors such as organization size, financial resources, and the nature and structure of its operation. Next slide, please. All right, a few more to go over assumptions. Assumption, employees with disabilities have a higher absentee rate than employees without disabilities. Fact is, studies by firms such as DuPont show that employees with disabilities are not absent any more than employees without disabilities. In fact, these studies show that on average, individuals with disabilities have better attendance compared to their non-disabled counterparts. Assumption: individuals with disabilities are not reliable. Fact is, individuals with disabilities tend to remain on the job and to maintain better levels of attendance. A US Chamber of Commerce study revealed that workers with disabilities had an 80% lower turnover rate. Assumption: people with disabilities are less productive than those without disabilities. Fact is, research consistently shows that people with disabilities want to work. Many people with disabilities feel that they need to work harder and perform better to prove themselves in their job roles, resulting in productivity levels that are often higher. Next slide, please.
Okay, and now we're going to talk about some of the supports that one would request and some of the accommodations that could be done for someone with a disability in the workplace. So some supports can be accomplished through technology, alternative work schedules, extra breaks, extended lunch periods, and different workspaces, such as working from home. Notice that a majority of these cost absolutely nothing at all. So some highlighted supports include, if someone has seasonal affective disorder, there's a special lamp that can be purchased that can help them manage those effects. And I've included the price. The link is attached into the actual presentation of going into it and trying to purchase it. But for the purposes of this presentation, I've included the price. You can see that the lamp only costs $49.99. If someone has problems picking up office supplies due to muscular dystrophy or multiple sclerosis, they can use a tool called the Weller vacuum pickup tool. Notice that the price is only $76. If someone has vision problems and let's say their position requires them to take measurements for whatever reason, they can purchase something called a talking tape measure. The price is $119.95. If someone has a stroke and has issues with gripping things, and maybe let's say they work in a warehouse or something like that, something that can be purchased is called the Cessus Palm Flex Gloves. They're only $15.99 per pair, and this will help them with gripping things. And so we've used these as examples only because these are supports that among many that our program with the Division of Rehabilitation Services can pay for, as long as the customer has a diagnosed disability and the customer will be successful in their job with the purchase of that equipment. And again, as Nazrullah mentioned, and I just want to stress it again, 56% of supports cost absolutely nothing at all. Next slide, please. So some of the services that DRS offers to businesses include pre-employment services, including internships and training. So we will pay and work with the business to offer these opportunities, these paid opportunities to our customers. We assist with recruitment and promotion, retention supports, employee advisory services, accommodations. So that includes worksite assessments, as well as purchasing assistive technology. That can be some of the supports or the tools that we just discussed. It could also mean specific computer programs that help our customers fulfill their job duties. We also help with training, such as disability awareness training and ADA employment laws, such as what we're doing now. Other things include the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, or the WOTC, which will be discussed in depth later on, and things such as EEO and affirmative action. Next slide, please.
All right, value proposition, benefits of accommodations. Some statistics here. 90% of employers reported a higher retention of a valued employee. 72% reported increased employee productivity. 60% reported eliminated costs by training the new employee. 38% reported saved workers' compensation or other insurance costs. 45% reported increased workplace safety. 28% reported increased profitability. and 17% reported increased customer base because they know the company has a robust diversity and inclusion culture. Next slide, please. Recruit, hire, train, and retrain persons with disabilities in your organization. People with disabilities are one of the largest minority groups in the country. They are the largest untapped talent pool of potential workers. They are able to participate and succeed in employment with the right opportunities and the right support. They bring unique skills and talents to the workplace. They help organizations build a strong and diverse pipeline of skilled workers, which is critical for companies to grow their business and compete in the global economy. They improve an employer's bottom line by reducing recruiting and training costs and increasing retention rates. Next slide, please.
And we also just wanted to provide a few resources. So the first one is the DRS referral link. And if you know anyone who may benefit from these services, maybe you have an employee now that has suffered an injury and you feel they may benefit, this link here would be the first step to applying for our services. The second one here is the Job Accommodation Network, accommodation evaluations. And this is a very useful website that gives examples and scenarios of someone with a disability in the workplace and how employers could handle that, how they could go about accommodating them, and some examples of accommodation. So very useful tool for employers. The last one that we have is the talent acquisition portal, or what we call Tapability. And it's kind of like an Indeed, a job search engine where it's specifically geared for individuals with disabilities. So if you're looking to hire individuals with disabilities, but you're not sure where to post your jobs, this would be somewhere you can do that. Next slide, please. And other than that, we want to thank you so much for your time. Our contact information is below. Email is the best way to reach out to us directly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gianni and Nasrullah. Hopefully people were writing down some questions as we roll through those, your slides. So we have Kathleen Wager from the Illinois Department of Employment Security to talk about business services and tax credits. Kathy.
Good morning, all. I'm Kathy Wager. I'm the local Veterans Employment Rep with IDES. To let you know, I was in the Army for 4 years. I've been with IDES since 2008, and I've been a Veterans Rep since 2014. Slide, please. So, talking about business services with IDES, one of our websites is Illinois Job Link. It's a robust and dynamic system. It's actually went through a huge change lately. Whole new platform, whole new look. So anybody who's checked it out will notice that things are done completely differently. And it's actually quite a bit better system, a lot more uses. But employers can post their jobs. They can search for resumes, and job seekers can also post their resumes so that the employer can find them. Next slide, please. Workshare Illinois. So this is a program that IDES came up with. So if an employer is facing a decline in business, IDES has created a program that allows employers to reduce the number of hours for their employees to avoid permanent layoffs. The reduction ranges between 20 and 60%, and the employees receive a corresponding percentage of unemployment benefits during the reduction period to offset the reduction in earnings. Please. Work opportunity tax credits. There are quite a few different tax credits that are available to certain demographic groups. Some of them include vocational rehabilitation referrals, folks collecting SNAP or TANF, those who have collected 26 weeks of unemployment and have exhausted that. There's also veteran tax credits. Tax credits range from $1,200 up to $9,600. Next slide, please. Here you can see some of the target groups that I'd mentioned earlier, returning citizens, long-term unemployment, some of the youth, veterans, those who collected SNAP and TANF, and as I said, vocational rehabilitation referrals. Please. So with work opportunity tax credits, there is no age restrictions, there's no limit on applicants that you can hire. If you want more information, you can go to the ides.illinois.gov website, or you can contact me at kathleen.wager@illinois.gov.
Thank you, Kathy.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Fidelity bonding. No, you're fine. Fidelity bonding. Fidelity bonding is like an insurance policy to protect the employer against theft, embezzlement, and dishonesty. So if you hire individuals that have, say, poor credit history, limited work history, dishonorable military discharge, or is a returning citizen or substance abuse user, you can bond that person from $5,000 up to $25,000 for free for 6 months. And thank you. If bonding is a condition of employment, you can extend it for another 6 months for a reduced fee. If you have any questions, please contact me. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Kathy. So that bonding that you mentioned, it's something that's underutilized, I think, by a lot of employers that have concerns, because if they have concerns, they should be using that. With the tax credit, I do want to add that recently the governor has signed a Senate Bill 3617 that provides a tax credit for individuals that are recovering from mental illness or are in mental health treatment. Anyone knows that during the pandemic and since the pandemic, our employees and employers have had to face a workforce shortage due to mental health. So this tax credit has just been is just being rolled out and has signed in for Illinois, been signed into law. And if you want more information, we're going to try to keep up with that here at the workforce and contact either Pete or I. So Pete's going to talk about some of the other funding that we have at the workforce. Pete.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pete Hall. I work with the workforce with Tom. I'm the other business service rep. We have what's called WIOA funding. It's called Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. It's been around a long time. It's a federally fund money to get people back into the workforce. People with disabilities would have to qualify for our program, but if they do qualify, we could do kind of what DRS does in that we can provide them with training, and we can also do internship/work experience. And when they're in that internship, we could pay their wages anywhere up to $15 an hour. We usually start with 240 hours and 20 hours a week. We can go up to 40 hours a week, and the internship can be extended past 240 hours up to 970 hours. There would just have to be to the benefit for the intern if the hours get extended. And kind of what ties into that is on-the-job training. And on-the-job training is when the person is actually hired by the company. And once they're hired, we can reimburse anywhere from 50 to 75% of their wages back to the company. So when they're working there, they say the first 6 months is probably the most expensive for any company training an employee. So we try and offset that cost while they're training. And with that training, we also write a training plan, and we will do, if it's 4 to 6 months, we'll do anywhere from 3 to 4 monitorings where we'll come out and talk to our customer and also talk to their supervisor and, see how things are going. And we're kind of on the back end as, let's say there's questions, HR questions that can't be asked to our customers. We could ask our customer those questions and kind of find out what's going on if there are problems. That is very rare. Most of our customers are very successful in these programs. And then we also have what's called an incumbent worker training. And this is where a company will come in and say, we want to train 10 of our current employees on Microsoft Office programs. So we could pay for that training program. We could reimburse anywhere from 50 to 100%, depending on the size of the company. And with that is, we'll work with the company to, if they do need to help find someone to do the training, we will help them find a trainer. But if they already have a trainer in mind, we'll work with that trainer to get the needed information. And once the training's done, you'll get reimbursed all the money you paid the trainer. And those are our impressive programs we have. And I will go ahead and put my contact information in the chat. If anyone has questions, feel free to reach out to me or Tom, and we can help you out. And one thing with the on-the-job training is we have to do all our paperwork, has to get signed before the employee actually starts working for the company.
So thanks, Steve. So let's, because we have a couple minutes here, I want to drop back and let's put this into practice. How would a company use these here? So let's say, for example, you interview someone who's disclosed, maybe they've disclosed that they have a disability. Maybe they're in treatment, they're getting treatment for something. And, but you really like this person, what they bring to the company, the skills that they have, just not quite sure, how would this work out? The work experience, what you could do then is if this person was eligible through WIOA, that we would pay, the county would pay their wages for them to come and work with you and get some experience. They could try out the position that you have in mind. You can try them out. You can get an idea if this is going to work. It's temporary and no obligation. So that's something that you might want to consider. Let's say that you have somebody that has disclosed they have a disability, and it may be this even the same person that you now want to hire full time. You can hire them on, and during that work experience, you've discovered that they are very good at a lot of things, but they may not have the keyboarding, the applications for work, Microsoft applications. They need some training in that, but we'd like to hire them. So in this case, they need to sit, they cannot stand, but they have good office skills. They need some upgrading in their skills in Microsoft. You could hire them. We would reimburse part of their wages to you if they were WIOA eligible during the time that you plan to train them. You just say, how many hours will it take roughly, so we can figure out how long the training would last. And one more, maybe another case study here of incumbent worker training. Let's say that a worker foolishly drives up to Green Bay for a 3-hour drive and back again, and comes back and cannot walk. They were in the production area, so maybe they have some engineering skills or they need a little bit of training. Now, this is not a new hire. This is one of your employees that has temporarily become disabled and will need some training because you don't want to lose them. They know the company, you know them. We can find other work for you, but we'll need to train you in those skills. They are an incumbent worker, and we would be able then, as Pete said, be able to reimburse you for the training expenses that you have for that person. Oh,
And-
before.
And with the wheel funding, we do have a youth program, which is, I want to say starts at 14 to 24. And we also obviously have the adult funding.
Thanks, Pete. So those are some real life examples of how disabilities will work in the workplace. Now, the best real life example is, how do we make this work with a job coach? Shannon and if we go to the next slide, Shannon and Nancy are here to talk a little bit about job coaching. What is job coaching, the value of job coaching, and then introduce our employer and employee.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Like Tom said, my name is Shannon Cezadlo. I am the lead employability instructor at Project Search. I'm here with Ashley Dwayne. She is my coworker and employment specialist or job coach. Jacqueline, or we call her Jackie Shramovich, is here as well from Northwestern Medicine Huntley Hospital. And Erin, there's Erin, our Project Search graduate and now employee at Northwestern Medicine Huntley Hospital, has joined us as well. So thank you for being here with us. Ashley.
Next slide, please. Thank you. As Shannon said, I'm Ashley Dwayne. I'm the employment specialist here at Project Search at Woodstock Hospital. I was also Aaron's job coach when he was employed by Northwestern Medicine. So all these things listed here are areas that I assisted Aaron with when he was becoming employed and when he was employed by Northwestern. So what is a job coach? We definitely are somebody who is like a bridge or a facilitator between the employer and the parents. We really help with that communication skill until the employer or the employee is more comfortable. So I helped Aaron in his job search, just like any other person, applicant looking for a job, looking online on Indeed or just on Northwestern Medicine's website. I assisted Aaron in interviews. Aaron, if you remember, we did our interview online. That's pretty common now instead of in person. So I just helped him answer some questions that he might have needed assistance with. And then I attended orientation and onboarding with Aaron. What that really looks like for the employer is I'm there to assist him with filling out that important paperwork you need, tax documents, different things like that. A big part of being a job coach is really creating those accommodations. As Nazrullah from the Division of Rehabilitation Services spoke earlier about reasonable accommodations. Those are things that I'm going to list right now. For Aaron specifically, we worked together with the employer. We worked with Jackie, and we really thought about what Aaron might need to accommodate him and help him be successful on the job. So those type of things that we created were lists that kind of just showed Aaron areas that he was going to be in charge of, tasks that he was in charge of for the day. Jackie very nicely labeled Aaron's carts. So it showed him where his mop stick went and where the trash goes and what type of things that he needs on his cart to be successful throughout his day. Some other type of accommodations that we've used previously for clients of ours are timers on their phones or just handheld timers. As I was saying, different lists. We do a lot of picture accommodations for those that are visual learners. I touched upon being that bridge between the employer and parents. We have something called fading. Fading is very big with Project Search and employers. So what it looks like is in the beginning, like during orientation in those first few weeks of training, you'll see us as job coaches really being there with our client, really being able to get them comfortable in their environment and build that independence. But as the weeks go on, they are, employed by you. So they're just like any other employee that you would hire after their training. They get very comfortable. And so you see us fade away. And that's why we use that word fading, because we're there less and less, because it really is for them to gain their independence. And then we can be present at reviews. We've attended 1-year reviews. We've attended 90-day reviews, just to be there to help the client if they have any questions. And then obviously if problems ever arise, you can always contact us as the job coach, and we can always come back and help out. We just had a situation just actually happened with Aaron and Jackie, and Aaron just went on vacation, and you kind of get out of your groove at work, you're relaxing on vacation, and then you go back to work and you're like, okay, we got to get back into it, right? So Shannon and I both different times stopped over, and we just assisted Aaron to really get back into his routine and remind him of the people that he needs to contact if he needs assistance, and just different things like that. Next slide, please. Thank you.
All right, so here is Aaron at Huntley Hospital. You can see Aaron cleaning the bathrooms, right? You clean all over the place, right, Aaron? Sanitizing, cleaning. There's Aaron in front of the hospital, and there is Jackie and Aaron during training. Those are, they're great pictures of seeing Aaron doing what we found he did best when he participated at Project Search at Woodstock Hospital. He was just excellent at this task, and that's why he applied to an interview for the job with Jackie. So Jackie, I want to ask you a couple of questions, just to give your perspective on the employer side. Can you tell me a little bit about what the hiring process was like with Aaron?
Well, I was not part of the interview process or anything like that, but it was really no different than any other applicant. The only difference that my manager had kind of indicated was that Ashley was there to help support him in that if he needed assistance with answering any of the questions, but he went through the same hiring process that any of our employees would go through.
And Aaron, I want to ask you now. So when you applied to this job, what did you do? How did you apply to the job? Do you remember?
Yes. Well, I had to do an interview first before I got the job.
Did you apply online with Ashley? Did you fill out an application online before you got, because you had to apply, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
out an application online with Ashley, and then I scheduled an interview for
right. And who came with you? The interview, was it in person or was it on Zoom?
It was on Zoom.
Did you do it by yourself or was anyone with you?
No, Ashley was with me at that time when I did my interview with that.
Okay, perfect. So why was Ashley with you? Do you remember?
Because if I needed some help on any questions that was hard for me to answer.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so that's exactly what Ashley, as your job coach, did for you, right? She helped you apply for the job. She sat in on the interview with you, but you did the interview yourself. Ashley was just there to assist if you needed it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, and then you got the job offer. What are your hours, Aaron?
7:30 in the morning until 12:30 in the afternoon.
Okay. How do you get to work?
Pace bus.
You take a PACE bus. Okay. All right, good. Jackie, so how was it? You and Ashley worked closely together. I wasn't a part of it. How was it working with a job coach?
It was great. Our hiring process, we actually had more new hires that training period or orientation, and most of the time I was only working with one person. So she was of great help because there's a lot of information to go over with new hires. And she did help with, gosh, a lot of things. But it was more so, I think, me having more on my plate than I usually did. She was there to help explain things, help Aaron set up and save his passwords for logging on, and really help do the one-on-one with setting up the online employee information.
Yeah, so Jackie, and I want to say too, kudos to you, because you were open to anything that we suggested for Aaron to make him successful, right? Like if it was maybe being a little lenient with his schedule to try and figure out, because he does rely on a PACE bus.
Yeah.
But once that gets, once that system works itself out, then Aaron is there, right?
Yeah. It works really well. That was one of the things that we considered with Aaron. He has a part-time job with us, and he works 5 days a week, shorter time spans, because that's what works for him, but it really helps get some of the areas that we're struggling with. And it's great to have him in the areas and the route that he's in, because he shows such pride in his work. He's really good at it. So Ashley spoke on the fact that we had a little bit of a setback when he took an extended vacation, but with anyone, I mean, nobody wants to come back to work anyways, even if you're not with a disability, but you got to get back into that groove. And it's been no different. A lot of the struggles that we have, you see them in everyone. It's just, maybe it takes Aaron a little bit longer to get back to the groove of things, but he's excelling at his job, and I would hire so many more, because he's just he says it every day. I'm just so honored to work here. I just can't believe I got hired here, and I'm really glad to be part of this team. And I think everybody needs more of that, just being appreciative of their job and things like that. So it's been a great experience for us.
How has it been for your team? Have you noticed anything with your team working with Aaron?
Some of the ladies on our housekeeping team have become mama bear. And it's really brought some of our team members, or a lot of them, together and brought them into that team effort. Aaron will ask for help, and they're like, oh yeah, I got it. Where before, some of these employees were like, oh, that's theirs. Absolutely, that's theirs. But now I'm seeing that transpose into even their other teammates of, like, this is a team effort. Like, you need help, we're here to support each other. So it's been really good for the team.
Good. And Aaron, how do you like being a part of the team?
Pretty good so far. I mean, I just love being with the people I work with. Like they help me out. They help me out a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
wonderful working with them.
That's very nice. Yeah. Aaron does often say he's honored that he has the job there. And I think it's mutual. I think it's there. You guys are lucky to have Aaron, and Aaron, you're lucky to have them, right? You love coming to work. I know, Jackie, you said not everybody wants to come back after vacation.
Yeah.
I bet you Aaron did. Aaron, were you looking forward to going back to work? A little bit?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
A little bit. And I know we talked about fading. We talked about if problems arise. Jackie does a great job of trying to figure things out herself, but sometimes she'll reach out to us. It might just be a phone call saying, hey, we have this going on. Can you give me ideas on how to work with Aaron best to figure out this problem? Sometimes that works. Sometimes we have to do a stop by, like a check-in, have a conversation with Aaron, right? But overall, I think it is not, I know this is a great success story. It's been wonderful working with Northwestern and Jackie. And we're so proud of you, Aaron, too, and all your success there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Congratulations. And Jackie, thank you for the work that you do. Can we, before we go to questions, Natalie, could you back up to Shannon's job coach slide? So I was looking at this, and a comment that Jackie had made about something on the order of, we're all the same. We're really all the same. There's more things in common, really, than differences. But we seem to focus on the small difference. But when we take a look at the big picture, it's all the same. We're all the same, basically. And I'm looking at this job coach, and I think we have some HR people that are on the call here. I'm not an HR person, but I have friends that are, and familiar with this process here that I'm looking at. This is very similar to what any company should be doing with every employee. You interview every employee, you do an onboarding, orientation, you find out what they need to do their job and provide that. You give them some training to get them started. We have some new people in our office, quite a few that are going through training now. The fading happens in our office, that eventually they get used to their job and what they're doing, and you have less oversight. There are reviews that happen with every employee, and you go to HR, you go to your manager when problems arise, and you work it out. What's the difference? And again, I think if we focus on less on the difference and more on how we're all the same. So let's go, Natalie, if you want to go to the slides, and we'll stop the recording, and we'll open this up for any other questions.